Hi everyone, welcome to your practice today. So our class today is going to be about a 20-minute long flow that's based around gentle heart opening. So it's all about this idea of starting to connect with yourself in an expansive way and to learn how to work with our spines in such a way where we encourage the tighter or the more restricted part of our spine to actually gently start to blossom open. So with that being said, the hardest part of the spine for most people to open is going to be this thoracic area, the heart area basically. And we want to learn how to approach the heart openers in a way where we maximize the length and the space that we can create in this area that is a little bit tighter, that is more restricted, and we minimize actually loading heavily the really bendy parts of our spine. So in this case, it will be our lower back or also our neck, because it's very easy when we're looking at back bends to just crunch back into the neck or to crunch and dump into that lower spine. But again, we want to work with a little bit more attention to detail and see how we can support those areas that are actually really bendy and create more opening in the places that actually need it, which will be this thoracic spine. So that's what our work is about today. So what we'll need for this practice is maybe a yoga block if you have one around, or just something that you can use to support yourself a little bit more in terms of lifting the floor up to you, so to speak. And then also like a rolled up towel would be really useful, or a cushion off your couch, something like that, because we are going to practice a really nice gentle heart opener at the end of this practice. So that's what we're up to today, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go ahead and get started in Virasana, or hero's pose. So just coming to a kneeling position. Now, if it is challenging, and I imagine it is for a lot of us at home, to have our sitting bones touch the floor pretty easily here, what you can do is sit on top of a yoga block, or it could be a cushion or something like that. So you can just pop that block underneath your sitting bones, which will help to give you this little bit of a lift through your spine. And then just see if you can find the natural S curves of your spine. So S curves meaning when your lower back presses gently forward and elongates up, and also the back of your neck has a little bit of an S curve in it. So you're lengthening up through the crown of the head and finding those S curves. Then we're going to dive right away into some of our work around heart openers and back bends. So we'll take our arms out into cactus shape, elbows about shoulder height, and then start to draw the elbow points sort of back. So what you should feel is it's like you're hugging your shoulder blades together behind the heart. And then we'll take a moment here just to allow ourselves to get warmed up. So this should feel pretty toasty. This should straight away start to warm up your upper back and start to engage those muscles. And as we're here, see if you can also draw your head just a little bit back in space. So you want to be careful not to have your head jutting forward, but actually drawing it back. And then we're reducing the curvature in the lower back by pulling the navel back to the spine, tucking the tailbone under and pulling the front ribs in. So if you need to see what that looks like from the side, you can have a look. The tendency in a posture like this is to actually compensate for tight shoulders by letting the front ribs flare apart and going into that back bend in the lower back. I want you to find a straight lower back. So you're actually going to squeeze your lower ribs to your front hips, so pulling the navel to the spine and reducing that curve in the lower back. Okay, take one more big breath in. I know it's probably getting really warm. And then exhale, just relax that. Close your eyes for a moment and feel. Give your shoulders a nice big roll forward and back a couple of times. And then opening up the eyes. We'll come into that exercise one more time, and this time we're going to add on one more little layer where we squeeze the shoulders together behind the heart, but then we also drop them down. So go ahead and find that cactus shape again, elbows roughly in line with the shoulders, hugging the elbows back, bringing the crown of your head back, and just feeling that engagement behind the heart, those muscles starting to activate. And now it's very subtle, but we're going to drop the shoulders down. So it's like you're dropping the elbows a little bit down to get the bottom part of the shoulder blades to squeeze together and pull down towards the hips. Same time, navel to spine, front ribs in, and tucking the tailbone a little bit so that lower back is nice and straight. Let's take 2 more breaths. Again, this should feel very active, very heating right away. And one more. Beautiful. And then just releasing your hands in your lap. Give yourself a nice big roll through the shoulders. loosening up there. Good. Last exercise here. We're going to take our thumbs and just hook our thumbs together. Stretch the arms up to the sky. Pull your front ribs in, squeeze your ribs to your hips, tuck your tailbone so you're nice and straight. Draw your arms back as far as you can in space, and then imagine you're trying to pull your thumbs apart. So you're really trying to separate the arms as you stretch them up. And you start to get the top part of the shoulder to activate a little bit more. Let's just stay here 2 more breaths. Good, and 1 more. Good, and then releasing that, give your shoulders a little roll, maybe a little neck roll, shake it out. Okay, we'll come off of our block if it's there, and coming to tabletop position, or 4-point pose. So as we arrive in tabletop, knees and feet about hip width apart, hands shoulder width apart. Let's take a moment just to lift our fingertips off the floor, pressing into the base of the palm, the base of the thumb, and the pinky mound. Really, almost like you're flossing your fingers, really spread them out wide. Micro bend the elbows and hug the elbow points, the pointy bit of the elbow back towards you. And then go ahead and bring your fingers back down on the mat, but squeeze the fingertips into the mat or claw the mat with the fingertips. Keep the elbows a little bit bent, hug them back again. Squeeze the forearms towards each other. And then this will bring us into our cow pose, a gentle back bend. So starting to tilt your hips back. Feel your lower back engage slightly. Keep your navel drawn up to your spine so you're supporting that lower back. And then starting to lift the gaze forward, engaging through the back of the neck. See if you can open the throat. Imagine you're hugging your hands to your knees. You're still squeezing forearms towards each other, and you're still wrapping those elbow points back. Take 1 big breath in, broad across the chest. And now as we exhale, we'll push the floor away. Start to squeeze the tailbone underneath yourself, rounding your lower, your middle, and your upper back. Feel your pubic bone glide up towards your belly button, and your ribs come to your hips at the front of the body. Chin to chest, the back of the neck nice and long. 1 more big breath here. We'll stay here for the breath out. And then slowly tilting the hips back, come back to cow. Micro bend the elbows, wrap the elbows back. Claw the mat, start to lift the chin, lift the heart forward. As you exhale, round your back, slowly curling in, tucking the tail between the legs, bringing the chin to the chest. Okay, we've got 3 more of these. So just moving now with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Good, last one, inhale. And exhale. Come back to your inhale, lifting the hips, this time child's pose. Bring the big toes together at the back and slowly drop the hips back to the heels as you lengthen the spine forward, dripping your forehead down to the mat. Finding 3 big breaths. Breathing in and out. Feeling the heart continue to lengthen forward as the hips drop back. Take 1 more big breath in. A nice big breath out. And then pressing down to rise up. Let's come back into table again, and we'll open up the feet. This next exercise, we're going to do a little bit of work to activate our glutes and our hamstrings, the back of the legs, as they actually do help us on our back bends as well. And we're going to drop our left elbow down to the mat to set this one up. So just left elbow to the mat, maybe slide the right hand a little bit back so it feels really stable where you are, and then wrap the elbow and the tricep a little bit back so you're nice and strong. Then bring your knees together a bit more, and we'll tap our right toes just back to the back of the mat. So your right knee comes off the ground and you're just tapping those right toes. Now point the toes like a dancer foot, and we'll lift the right leg up just to parallel to the floor, maybe slightly higher. And just take a moment here to feel that right hip kick into gear. Take a big breath in, and then exhale, just tapping the toes down. We'll do 5 of these. So inhale, lifting up. Exhale, tapping down. 3 more, inhale. Exhale. Get 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. Keep it up, and let's add 5 little pulses here. So pulsing up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Tap the toes back down, pause. We're going to add on 1 more piece. We'll take our foot out to the side like a big arc or a big rainbow. So pointing the toes, going to pick up the leg again. A nice big arc all the way over to the right side. See how far out to that side you can get, just tapping the toes. And then we bring it all the way back up. So we'll do 5 of these. You can get that going at your own pace. You'll feel you really start to work into your outer glute muscle and all the different little pockets of muscles around your outer hips. Let's go 2 more. Stay with me now, 1 more. Should feel strong in the beginning. Let's bring it back to center and pause. And we'll press into that right hand, come back onto the left. Reach that right leg up again, nice big inhale. And now see if you can step your right foot back behind you. We'll flatten that foot on the floor. Let your left foot come a little bit over to the left. And then turning to the right side, reaching your right arm up towards the sky. Create a little bit of an arc in your spine now as you squeeze your left hand towards your left knee, arcing through the spine. Reach your right arm forward. So create a nice big extension through the right side body. If you're a bit wobbly here, try to flatten your right foot onto the ground with your toes pointed in the same direction as what you're facing. That's going to make you a little more stable. Take 1 more big breath. We'll stay for the breath out. And then slowly drizzle your right hand back to the floor. Come all the way back to center and back to tabletop position. Let's take a moment, cat and cow, breathing in, lifting the heart. Exhale, rounding the back. 2 more, inhale. And exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale, beautiful work. Okay, coming down to the right elbow now, we'll set up our other side and just sliding the left hand back if it's useful for you. Just tap the left toes to the floor and we've got 5 little lifts. We'll go right into it. So lifting the left leg up and bringing it down and up and down. Good, keep it going. Up and down. We got 2 more here like this and down. 1 more lifting up and down. Come back up and we'll do 5 little pulses. So here we go. 5, 4, little micro movements. 3, feel that left glute talking to you. 2 and 1. Good, go ahead and rest it back down. We'll hold it here. We're going to go to the side now, so just make sure you have space on that side of your mat. When you're ready, lift your left leg up. A nice big arc all the way over to the left side, tapping the toes down, and then back all the way up to center. Okay, go for a few more of these, nice and easy, at your own pace. We'll do 5 in total. So here we go for 3, for 2, and you might even feel this last one, 1 in that supporting leg, which is really normal. Now go ahead and come back onto your right hand, lift your left leg up, pause here for a moment, nice big breath in, and then exhale, just go ahead and drop that knee to the ground. Come back to child's pose now, everybody. Just dropping the hips back, stretching the arms forward. Oh, we almost forgot our little side plank variation. So come back to table again. We'll set up that side plank, reaching your left leg back. Step it back behind you. Just step the right foot back and we're turning over to that left side. So again, if you're wobbly here, let that right foot come back behind you a little bit more and anchor your left foot flat to the ground. Let's stretch the left arm up and overhead. So you're getting this beautiful side body opener right here. 1 more big breath in. Good, now let's come to child's pose again. So releasing the left hand to the floor, just drop all the way back to the heels, stretching the arms forward. And just soften for a moment, feel yourself let go. Okay, pressing down to rise. Let's come to walking the hands slightly forward, spread the fingers, tuck the toes, and when you're ready, stick your bum back behind you. So looks like you're dropping your hips to your heels, and then lifting the knees off the floor an inch, we'll press back to downward facing dog. Pause here for a nice big breath in. If you want to pedal it out a couple of times, feel very welcome to do that. Really getting into those sticky spots in your body. And mindful movements. So moving thoughtfully in your body, feeling what's going on, really being present and seeing what your body needs today. We really do know a lot about our own bodies. Sometimes we don't trust ourselves enough. So take time to trust yourself here. Now, let's come to just stilling the movements of the feet. Let the heels lift off the floor. Bend the knees slightly. Tilt the hips back. Keep sending the hips back behind you. And then squeeze ribs to hips, so pull your lower ribs in, which should straighten out that lower back, and start to straighten your legs again. Take 1 more big breath. Nice big breath out. From here, drop both knees to the mat, stepping your right foot all the way forward. And we'll go ahead and just bring ourselves into this nice easy lunge position. Hands on the front knee. Start to drop the hips just slightly down and forward, but keeping this sense of buoyancy or lifting up an engagement from your legs. So squeezing your left knee towards your right heel towards your left knee, scissoring action of the legs, firm the inner thighs in. Lunge. So if you're comfortable, place your hands on the floor, just coming down. If that's a little too strong today, maybe use a couple of books or blocks under your hands. Maybe you just rest your hands on your front knee. So choose an option that feels good for you. We can go ahead and relax those back toes now, taking a little pressure off of that back knee. Let's go one more breath, really thinking about dropping the hips down to open them up. So let's just take a couple more breaths right here. In and out through the nose. Good. Now we're going to start to come up into a lunge with the arms elevated. To get there, just slightly back off the lunge, puff up the back of the heart, press down into the feet. Inhale, sweeping the arms up nice and high. Pause here. Turn the palms in. Spin the triceps in front of you. Lengthen up out of the waist. Again, come out of the lunge a little bit to the point where you can tuck your tailbone under. You should feel that left hip muscle engage. So you can even give yourself a little spank. It might help you to learn how to engage that glute muscle. It can be a little bit of a kind of a lazy muscle for a lot of us. Take one more big breath in and keep stretching up out of the waist. See if you can sink a little bit lower, but keep those activations. And then we'll exhale, cactus the arms again. Again, bring the back of your head back, the elbows back. Feel the front of the heart puff up as you engage powerfully through the back of the heart. One more big breath in. Good. Exhale, come down. Both hands come inside your right foot. You may want to bring your right foot just a bit to the right and then tuck the back toes and lift the knee. And just pause here. If you can, flatten your hands down. Some of you might even be okay with dropping down to one elbow at a time, or if you have blocks or cushion or something like that, you might choose to just drop down to that. So have a little play. We got 3 breaths. 1, nice and strong through the back leg. If it's too strong, guys, feel free to drop the knee to modify. 2. And 3. Good. If you're down nice and low, just come back onto those hands. We'll lower the back knee down and then bring the hips back, folding over our right leg. So I want you to be really active in this pose. Flex the toes back towards you. Get the leg nice and straight, so even if you need to prop yourself up on blocks, that's totally fine. You could be here. I'm going to engage the right leg, pull the toes back, press the heel down, hug it towards you, so it's active through the hamstring, and then let yourself fold forward wherever you can go. Think about bringing your heart down towards the knee. Don't worry about if it actually gets there. It's that journey. You just want to find where you feel the resistance in your body. And everyone is going to be a little bit different. 2 more breaths. Good. 1 more. And then rebending into that front knee. Plant the hands, tuck the left toes under, lift the knee, and then step back to downward facing dog just for a breath. Nice and deep breathing. And then just come up on the tippy toes, lower both knees to the mat. Try and go nice and slow. So everything you do is with a bit of control. And we'll step our left foot to the front. I'm going to come back into that lunge. So again, if it's better for you to use your props, bring them in here. Use whatever you need. Let your hips drop down and forward for the moment. So the reason we're working on these lunges as part of our back bending work is to really get into the front of the hip. That's another area that if we can get that to open up, and for most people that's a really tight area, it is going to help us so much in our back bends. So find a little activation, guys. Scissor your left heel towards your right knee and vice versa. Hug that outer left hip back and in. Broaden the heart forward. Base of the sternum reaches forward as the shoulders hug back. 1 more breath. Good. Now just edge out of it, slightly press into that left heel, round through the back of the heart, pull the belly in. Use your core muscles and your legs to come up now to that lunge with the arms elevated. Stretch up out of the waist. Imagine you're lifting your rib cage off the hips. You're stretching up. Tuck your tailbone, come out of it a little bit if you need to. Hug your right knee towards your left heel and vice versa. Take 1 more big breath in and really shine in your posture. Open everything up and then exhale. Here we go. Cactus the arms. Bring the elbows back. Puff up the heart. Back of the head moves back. Nice and engaged through your back body, opening through the front. Take one more big breath. And then dropping those hands down inside the left foot, we'll come to our lizard's pose. So again, just adjust that left foot a little bit out. See if you want to have your props here. We'll lift the back knee up and go ahead and drop down onto those elbows. Just 3 breaths. Got 2 more. Just enjoying that nice opening through the hips. Last one. Good. Come back up nice and high. If you were down low, take your hands to frame your front foot, back knee lifted if it came down, and we're stepping back again to downward facing dog for a breath. Nice big breath in and out. Beautiful. Then lowering down to the knees. Come down and have a seat. We're going to move now into a camel posture. We'll do a little modified variation of this. So we'll pop back up onto our knees and just check out our knees so they're about hip width apart. And then see if you can tuck the toes under of both of your feet. Feeling just nice and balanced here for a moment. Have a look at your feet. Make sure they're in line with your knees. So all of that is nice and in set. Bring the hands to the waist. Lift the heart away from the pelvis. So really lifting the sternum, base of the sternum, up, 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 up towards the throat, the base of your rib cage, up, 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 away from the hips. And then with your hands, kind of give your hips a little push down, as if you were kind of pushing, like if you had your pants up really high and you needed to kind of push them down. And pushing that down and lifting the heart. And then start to press the hips forward as you lift the chest. Now just keep your gaze forward. I want you just to find this place where there's openness, there's space through the front of the body without compression, too much compression through the back of the body. So it should feel really spacious. If you can now slide your hands around behind your buttocks and press the hips forward as you lift the heart even more. Hug the elbows back, squeeze the space between the shoulder blades. So now get a little bit more active with the upper back. So it gets a little bit more involved so that it can work for you, lifting through that thoracic spine. Take one more big breath in, and we'll stay here as we breathe out. Good. Inhale, pressing down into the knees just to come up. Come to child's pose. Easy variation, everybody. Just stacking one hand on top of the other and just melting that forehead down to the ground. Let your sacrum and your hips settle back to your heels. So back bending has this real uplifting, energizing quality. Sometimes it feels like it stirs things up a little bit. Child's pose can be a really nice counter pose to follow up with, just to settle everything. Because another big component of opening up our heart is feeling safe. Like, we're not going to open our heart, whether it be physical or more of an emotional or energetic thing, unless we feel safe and comfortable. So giving yourself that understanding, that message that you're safe and comfortable here in your own practice, in your own body. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and come on up, and we'll try round 2. So let's come back to downward dog just for a moment, bringing yourself to table, tuck the toes, lift the knees, stick the bum back, and then go ahead and take downward dog position. Taking a nice big breath in, nice big breath out. And then lifting up on the balls of the feet, lower the knees. See if you can hover them this time, nice and strong through your core and your shoulders, and the knees to the ground. And we'll just rise up onto the knees. Now, this variation, you can either keep the toes tucked, or if you feel comfortable already with what you're doing, go ahead and just bring the tops of the feet to the floor. It's a little bit more challenging. Bring the hands around to the waist, pressing down. And now slinky your spine up. So by slinky, I mean really stretch the spring of your spine as if it was a spring, up off of the hips, off of the pelvis. Start to hug the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades, hug the elbows back, press the hips forward, the pelvis moves forward in space. Keep puffing up the front of the chest as you squeeze and engage the back body. Feel like you're pushing your your back ribs forward towards your front ribs. Hug the navel to the spine, keep pressing the hips forward. Either stay here, level 1, we keep it right here. Level 2, if you're comfortable, start to slowly let your head relax back. Level 3, reach your right hand back and then your left, taking hold of those heels, and then activate pressing down into the feet and the shins to press the pelvis forward. Take Take one more big breath in and out. Then wait, just bring your hands back to your waist. We'll slowly rise up. We're coming back to child's pose from whichever variation you were in. So soften now, just bring yourself right down, forehead to the ground, hips to the heels, and relax. 3 big breaths. Feel that energy kind of dissolve after that pose. Take your time with one more big breath. And let it all go. And we're just slowly rising back up. We're going to start to wind it down now. So let's come back to downward facing dog once more. When you're ready, tucking the toes, floating the knees, and taking it back. And then come up on high on the tippy toes. I'm just going to step back a little bit so I'm still in the frame pretty well for you. Coming into your plank, and knees, chest, and chin all the way to the ground. Pause for a moment, and then just pressing into the hands, lift your heart, and glide the hips forward, and untuck the toes, bringing them back. Okay, a little bit different this time. We'll hug our shoulders back, similar to how we did before. This time, reach your hands back towards each other and towards the direction of your feet. Spread the fingers, hug the hands towards one another. Keep lifting up the heart, press down into the hips, squeeze the inner thighs, and then lift the feet up off the ground. Drop the chin a little if you notice that you're looking forward. I want you just to look down on your mat about 3 inches in front of you. Hold here in the simmer. Feel the back body activate. One more big breath in. And then releasing down, stack those hands and release your forehead to your hands. Give your butt a little wiggle right and left if you can, like jelly. Very nice. And then let's just bring the hands back by the shoulders. We'll press our way up. Come and just shift a bit forward on our mats. Going to come down to our bottoms. And we'll grab on, if we have a cushion or a rolled up towel, or like I have a rolled up blanket, if you have a bolster, you can use that. We're going to go ahead and bring that behind us, and then grab onto one of our yoga blocks, or it might be a smaller cushion off of your lounge. We'll sit a few inches in front of the support, just dropping the elbows down to the support, maybe even moving your bottom a little bit away from it. And then just start to lay your chest, your thoracic, on top of the support so it starts to lift up through the front of the ribs. Grab your block or your other cushion, which you may or may not need. It's just a bit of a softer variation. We'll place that on the shorter side if you're using a block, behind the back of the head to support. And some options with the legs, just options. So you could go soles of feet together, knees wide, or you could just really simply straighten your legs. And then let's go ahead and just let the arms find the earth with the palms facing up towards the sky. Now, many of you will probably enjoy this posture without something behind your head to go a little deeper. So if that feels like you, just remove what's behind your head and allow yourself just to open up. For myself, that feels a bit better. Feel free to adjust your positioning forward or back so that this pose feels comfortable. It's creating space through the front of the body, more of a passive way. And the only thing I want you to really listen to and be aware of and make changes if you need to is your lower back. So if your lower back feels a little cranky and compressed, our goal is to really release the lower back from its job of taking too much of a load. So you might actually just lift your hips for a moment and then move them a little bit away from the bolster. That can be a really easy way to adjust any lower back compression going on. Or you might sit up and just reposition yourself a bit. Another approach, if your lower back is really an issue for you, is to take this constructive rest position. So your feet come to the floor a little wider than the hips, and we just let our inner knees rest on each other. It's actually quite nice because it will take that compression out of your lower back pretty easily. Perhaps you want to stretch your arms overhead. So you get to really play here, guys. That can be a really nice kind of intense pose through your upper spine, but maybe you're feeling good for that. We've done a lot of warming up to get ourselves ready for this. So let's just spend another minute in this posture. And really remembering also that your yoga practice is yours. It's for you. So really don't have any resistance or ideas. Don't sort of entertain any ideas that you're not good enough, that this isn't for you, that you need to look, for example, like me on the screen or like someone else. Just really be where you're at right now, allowing your body to melt. Make any adjustments that you need. Like for me, I've just moved my arms down because I felt like I've had enough of the arms overhead. I'm ready to drop them down, just soften. So really tune into what you need. Just do about 3 more breaths. So what is the journey for you of opening up the heart? Some of it has a physical component. And as I said at the start of the practice, many of us do struggle with opening up this particular area of our spine that we're focused on right now. But also there's an emotional component, there's an energetic component to being an open-hearted person in your life. You may have had some experiences, very likely we all have, where we have closed and protected ourselves around the heart space. So acknowledge that part of yourself as well. Don't push that away necessarily. 2 more breaths. Now you are very welcome to stay in this posture a little bit longer. I know sometimes you're just kind of getting somewhere good, so you can stay there. Otherwise, I'm going to make my way to Shavasana, and I'll just bring my feet to the floor. Now you can either sit up, roll to one side, or the way I like to get out of this one is just simply lifting my hips up, reaching under and moving that support, and then I'm just going to really simply lay back down, keeping my knees bent. I'll lift the hips and move them away from my spine, and then go ahead and stretch the legs out to final Shavasana. Wiggling around for a moment to really release. So just coming into Shavasana when you're ready. Let's just take a couple minutes to relax. Notice the feeling in the spine. So we've done quite a bit of work to activate that heart space, just noticing the feeling, the flow of energy moving in and out of the area. Feel your body release and let go of tension. Feeling refreshed and renewed. You're welcome to spend more time in your Shavasana. I'm going to keep it brief for us right now, for those of you who do need to dart off. So when you're ready to start to release the pose, let's do it gently, just wiggling fingers and toes. Take a moment, maybe stretch the arms overhead for a second. And then we'll bend our knees, just rolling over to one side. Taking a pause on that side. When you're ready, pressing your way up to find a comfortable seat. And let's just close our practice with the hands together in front of the heart. Lift your heart to your thumbs. And drop the chin to the chest. And honor your time on your mat today. Thank yourself for being here. Namaste.